Welcome once again to another our PCP session. Now it's time for the paper Urban Politics in the Age of Globalization. Okay, so let us start today's session. And welcome to Mata Tirupura Sundari Open University. I'm a political science. I'm your faculty, Pantor Devarma, Assistant Professor of Political Science. This is my contact and my email. If you have queries and doubt regarding the programs and the course, you can contact me here. I'll be happy to reply to your queries. This is a Political Science first semester course number 4. Course name is Urban. How the urban areas, how does it function? What is the politics? What are the underlying governance issues? What are the things as we move ahead in the age of urbanization? We are going to discuss, especially interlinking with the globalization, having an impact of one area into another city as well. So this is our course code 6114. Units we are going to cover today is 16, 17, and 18. So this is the introduction. Previous lecture, we have discussed something about like sustainable development goals and inequality in urban space. We have to talk about the compact fullness where there is no space in urban areas. Those were the issues measured in urban politics. And so that were the things we discussed, okay, in the last lecture. Urban commons, some common area in our space is required, like parks and heritage place. So some kind of things like urban common space is required. So those things were required in proper planning and inclusivity. Like when you are making a plan for urban development, your policy should be inclusive to all, not like the policy is targeted toward one section of the people. So that is the thing discussed in earlier session. Today we have unit 16, 17, 18. In the unit 16, we have socioeconomic shifts in example from San Francisco, tech boom, Detroit, deindustrialization, and Toronto immigration. So these are the things of case studies we have. Transit evolution, okay, COVID-19 effects on mobility and equity, how the COVID-19 has impacted our society, and all these things. Racial dynamics in US American cities from segregation to reforms. Okay, there has been racist issues in US and Canada as such. So how did those from segregation to reforms have come to take place? What are the common threats? Inequality, activism, governance, adaptations. These are the things of issues. In India, mirror housing, transit issues in Bangalore and Mumbai. So those are the things, point of discussion today. So that is the introduction for today's session. And now, let us start today's class. So, this is socio-economic change and urban politics, society and in economics. What are the changes we have seen due to the urbanization and globalization process? And we are going to take case studies of 3 places, analyze dynamics. What are the changes? How are the housing issues, diversification, and inclusive practice? So these are the things like technology boom in San Francisco. Okay, huge technology booming, high adaptation and high development of technology there. Deindustrialization in Detroit and immigration surges in Toronto. Okay, drive inequality and growth. These things have led to the inequality and growth as well in those places. The case study we shall in the coming slide study one by one. That is our point of discussion in today's PCP or class. So you can see a picture here. This is a picture of San Francisco. Looks very dynamic and fast growing. all city full of buildings. I cannot see any trees much of over there. Okay, so let's see. What about the San Francisco case is tech boom and gentrification. Gentrification means when outsiders come and do business in your area with high investment, and sometimes the local people have to suffer due to inflation and rising housing prices. Okay. So high-paying jobs inflate rents, displace residents from historic neighborhoods. See, high-paying jobs, big jobs are coming. So in that way, when the money is growing, the rent also, the people, their living cost also it increases. So the residents who are staying there from before are also sometimes displaced from the zone. So these are kind of issues that is faced. So what are the politics happening there? Okay, what are the things? Zoning debates. Okay, affordable housing pushes, corporate accountability demands. So zone centric, that means the area has to be properly studied. So there is zoning, that kind of debates are there. Then the focus should be made in that area because there is an issue over there. Affordable housing pushes. So all the policymaker and the politics are involved in trying to make the house more affordable, because due to the growing of economy and high technology development there, the everything is growing so up, so people are not even able to afford the houses those who are living there from before. So these are the issues the politicians would like to focus, the policymaker would like to focus there. Corporate accountability, it is a corporate world. Everything is not done by the government, so it is a corporate world. So there also has been a demand that the corporate also should be accountable to some extent. Corporates should not be given unlimited power as such that they can do whatever they want. So the demands has been like the accountability should be there from the corporate also. Grassroots activism, pressure for equity and innovation. Okay, the demands have been more to involve everyone in the policy making process, and to bring equality and equal income for everybody and more innovative ideas. So there was a case study about San Francisco, what happened there in urban space. Second and third case studies are from Detroit and Toronto. Okay, see what a nice, beautiful places. If I get a chance, I would like to visit one day. What do you think? Okay. So auto decline causes unemployment, decay, revival, repurposes factories, diversifies economy. Okay. Toronto, immigration boost, diversity, population strain, housing, integration. Policies, development alliances, inclusive policies for cultural fusion. Auto decline causes unemployment. Okay, so there has been some decline in the automation process or the vehicle, so to say. So that way, unemployment had happened in the Detroit and decay. Revival, repurposes factories and diversified economy. So what happened is that factories have increased and economy has been diversified. So the problem there was, yes, there was some good factories coming up and economy was very much diversified. Lots of things were happening, but we could still see unemployment and decay. So there was a thing about Detroit. What happened in Toronto? Immigration. There was lots of people coming from the outside in Toronto. Immigration was lots of diversity because different type of people are coming and living over there. Okay. So because of lots of people are coming, what problem will happen is the housing. Where will people stay? So the housing crisis have happened there. Okay, and integration. Some sense of unity and unity chain has been broken, so to say, because people from outside are not very equipped and adapted with the nationality culture of there. So there is a chance of this integration questioning. Okay, so those were the things of problems in Toronto. What are the policies? So what were the politicians or the policy paper planning there? what are the developments they try to make when this they face by this kind of issues. Redevelopment alliances, inclusive policy for cultural fusion. Okay, so there has been alliance redevelop means remaking the connections with the between the two groups of people, maybe the political parties. So inclusive, the main focus there was inclusive policy. Whatever the city, whatever the urban space, even the previous lecture we have seen that what is important is the inclusivity for policy. Every culture should be accepted, because if a place is growing, people are automatically going to get attracted there. So when people come, there will be lots of diversity of culture. And the final thing, again, what it has to be done over there is the inclusive policy, so that everybody is included in the policy making process. Next unit, we have urban transit and transportation, COVID-19 and urban politics. Okay, and urban transit and transportation. How's like living in the urban area? How is the transportation? Is the transportation comfortable, or is the transportation very congested? And what are the things that happen during the COVID time? We are having to have a look. Before COVID, there was congestion, public transit reliance. Before COVID, there was packed. Okay, the transportation system was fully packed, and people were heavily, dependent on the public transport. Issues, fare dependency, infrastructure gaps. Okay, some issues are fare dependency, the fare problem, the cost, and there is no proper actually transportation infrastructure. There is no, so to say, quality transport infrastructure. The experience has been quite bad. Shift, tech integration, apps, contactless payment, multimodal option. Now what happened is that we have technology everywhere, apps and contactless payments, multimodal option has arrived now. Pre-model versus pre-COVID versus now, we have seen this. More technology, new apps, contactless payment, and multimedia approach in everyday life. So these are the things that have changed since COVID time. So what are the COVID-19 pandemic impact? We all know and have experienced COVID-19, and it was very scary. I had to stay in my room, I don't know for how many months, wearing mask every day, every time I go out. So we have passed that thing. So what has that impacted in our life? So lockdowns place ridership 70% strain finances. Okay, so 70-90% cut on traveling. People have started not going outside during the COVID-19. Finances was also deeply affected by COVID-19 because business were stopped. What are the rules that came due to COVID? Mask rules, cleaning, capacity limits, and rise in cycling and walking. See, due to COVID, we all know it's very basic. We have to wear the mask. We have to properly maintain a proper hygiene and cleaning. The people were have to maintain social distance. Capacity here was limited. People were not again compact like earlier time. There we saw that we have seen people more walking and doing cycling for fitness of their lives. So what are the equity gaps now? So low income rely on transit and remote work boom. Those who are low income, they still dependent on the transit of this in the urban areas. This means the transportation. Okay. So we can say that those who are lower income, they are still dependent on the transit mode of urban, I mean the public transport, and the kind of works people are engaged are now what remote areas, not the not going to it's the rate of migration to the advanced city has quite reduced due to COVID because you cannot go in your locality. So these things have been the result of COVID-19 that people have started to work in their neighborhood and remotely also. So what are the policies and governance change in the COVID-19 period? Let us see. Crisis management, emergency fund, public health, and mobility balance. So now what we saw was emergency fund. After realizing that such an emergency may arise, the government have come to realize that we need to maintain some emergency fund, and public health care system was very much important in handling the COVID era. So that was the realization basis, mobility balance. The balance should be in such a way it should be mobile and easy to transport because emergency can arise anytime. Okay, so those were the things. Politics. Okay, what about the politics? Fair equity debates, resilient planning for disaster. Okay, equity means still again equal opportunity or equal facility to be given to everybody was met as a priority. And thing was that resilient planning for disasters. We have to be resilient enough to face any disaster. That means all readiness for emergency was seen as a requirement due to the COVID impact. Active transport, new bike lanes, pedestrian zones. What happened is that due to the COVID-19, new lanes were created for the bikes and cycles, and separate road sides were made for people to walk because people have now started to learn and feel the importance of physical fitness due to the COVID. Also, we are especially talking about here the urban areas. Okay. So, what are the challenges in recovery we have in urban areas is that financial shortfalls, especially the finance, the money is still a major concern. Cost and financial digital divide. See, just a picture here. A person beside that is studying in a smart board, so they call it smart board. But a student or a learner is somewhere just sitting far away from that. That means that student doesn't have that facility. I am now sitting here teaching in this classroom with well-equipped earphones and my Wi-Fi, but the learner who is remotely located in a village where there is no proper networks cannot have access to the education and will not have equal knowledge as the person who is having all the Wi-Fi facilities in the urban areas. So that is called a digital divide. Some people are very much equipped with digitally that they find it good opportunity enough to elevate themselves in the sphere of maybe development for themselves plus for the overall society. But some, due to the lack of digital divide, no digital life, no internet, and no smartphones, they still lag behind in some way or the other. So, okay, sustainable rebuilds. We need to rebuild in such a way that the things are sustainable. We should plan for the future. We should not say that whatever we have, we will eat today and finish everything. No, we need to plan for the future. So what are the goals we have in the future is inclusive access. Again, this word is coming. It is very important to have inclusive access. Everybody should have the access to all the facility. It should not be concentrated in some people. In that way, the urban development is going to render to be undeveloped for a longer time now. Green mobility, that means we have to be environment friendly and we have to be prepare and contain such a system where uh, we can present ourselves as a ready for crisis system. We should prepare enough to face the crisis, and we should build such a system. So those were the things from Unit 7. Now we have the rest and urban politics in United States and Canada. So let's see what are the situations in US and Canada. I hope you are able to understand what I just talked about COVID-19 and its impact. Okay. Now, urban and urban politics, US and Canada focus links segregation, history of policy on housing, policing, and representation. Key radical dynamic. USA. What happened in USA is that historical redlining creates disparities, protests, demand reform. Okay, there has been in Canada multicultural policies mask inequalities in service opportunities, politics, equity, representation, anti-discrimination, governance. Historically, the US has been maybe seen as some kind of unequal opportunity. Redlining, there has been a distribution between group of people, so there was disparity. That means inequality between two groups of people. Some groups were privileged, some were not. So the protests that were there in USA was basically to bring reforms to come out from this crisis of inequality and disparity. In Canada, what was seen is that multicultural approach was adopted. That approach will help in removing inequality in services and opportunity. Now, what is the future map ahead for policymakers is again equity, representation, anti-discrimination, governance. Equity representation. Everybody should be given equal opportunity to represent themselves, whether in the small states or the large states. Discrimination should not be there against any certain section of population in the country or the state. So these are the major things to be kept in mind and the problems they had in their countries and how they solved it. Okay. So what are the themes? Common housing crisis, community activism, growth versus inclusion. Okay. This has been repeated, so it is not required. Cross-unit themes, common housing crisis, community activism, growth versus inclusion. Okay, so what are the things that are problems again in US and Canada is housing crisis. The housing has been a major problem. So till now what we have seen is that in the urban areas, one of the major problem is housing. The housing may be compact, the housing may be costly. So these are the areas to focus. If you become a policymaker, your goal should be that you check the housing criteria, how is it functioning, and how do I make it better. The community engagement, so to say, is that the community activism means how well the community are engaged in the whole governing process or on the whole activities of the society. How are they actively participant or are they distant from the social gathering? So those things we should see. Yes, there will be growth. The city may grow, skyrocket till touching the cloud and the sky, but is there an inclusion of every community? Is everybody growing or just one person is growing till the sky, the other person is going down toward below the crust of the planet. So inclusion should be there. Growth obviously is required in everything, but inclusion is very much important there. What the lesson is, adapted coalition grassroots input essential. We should be adapted to the things. Adapted to the things, that means the government should be also flexible and ready to negotiate with the peoples or the population. Grassroots input, we should listen to what the people want. We should not just give the people whatever we want to give. Just like I said in the earlier lecture, when a person already have a house, but you are giving him a house again, so it is useless. Maybe he needs a hospital now. So you need input from the people of what is their requirement. You cannot give a house homeless if you okay. Instead of giving a homeless guy a house, give the homeless guy a job. Through that way, he can earn every day, learn every day, upgrade himself. Eventually, he will get a house, and everything will come in the process. If you give me a house, he might just sell it, and tomorrow he might become a homeless guy again. So these are the things, grassroots input essential. So we have actually come across to the end of the lecture today. In the conclusion, what we can say is that economic changes displace vulnerable group behind gentrification and decline. So what are the common things we have seen in this urban area is that this gentrification is very common. That means the rich class from outside usually come to invest in your land, and eventually that affects the people of original who are located there to suffer. How if the business started growing up, the money started coming, the demand of the land started increasing, then the housing increases and everything is inflated. Inflation is on the rise, and the local people are bound to suffer, sometimes forced to exit the location. So this has been a common practice in the urban area. We must be careful of and ready to handle the situation. Vulnerable groups. There will always be vulnerable groups. What is required for the policymaker is to have a good look before and a good assessment before conducting any policy or any thing, so that inclusivity is important. This is what I want to highlight again and again. What we have discussed, we're almost at the end of our closing of our actually this one course SLM. We are already in the 18th unit. Throughout the course, what is important we have realized is that inclusivity is very much important in the policy making process. Whenever the policies makers are making any rules, for them, they should not think that it should benefit only the few people. The benefit should be given to all the population that is living. It should not say that the slum area people just live there in the slum without any facility, electricity or toilet. They deserve the same, they need the same, they require the same. That's why people at the end of the day always expect something from the government to do something for them, to help them. And if you are letting people down, so there is a different kind of discussion. So yes, inclusivity is very much important. Economic change, okay. With the rapid growth and all, with the rapid economic growth, the vulnerable group, maybe the poor, maybe the weak, maybe the children, maybe the old people, they are the vulnerable group. Maybe even sometimes women or some group of this, what is that? Slum dwellers, okay, they are a vulnerable group. Their existence may become very difficult when economic changes happen, because they are vulnerable to it. Because they are not economically strong, they will be swept away by the storm. So the policymakers should be very careful while making policy, and always keep in mind the requirement of inclusivity in the policy making process. COVID/transit use boosted sustainable option. So, what did we learn from the COVID? Do we think that COVID has been the worst of all? I don't know about that. But what did we learn? Public transportation has been reduced. Transportation has been reduced. People stop going somewhere without any reason. And what is that? Sustainable option. We try to find a way which we can sustain in the future. It has taught us something sustainable. Maybe COVID was a teacher. They came to teach the humans that stop utilizing all the resource today and keep something for tomorrow. Okay, so it has brought us some techniques and methods that we are using today, which is going to help us in the next 100 years or so, I think. Okay. So it has brought us into sustainable method of digital living, social distancing sometimes we have learned about the requirement of our fitness. Okay. So these things have been taught through the COVID pandemic era. Race legacies fuel equity demands in policy. Okay. Racism is an issue which can be seen in places. Okay, so what is that? Due to that, the people are likely to demand in policy equity that every race, every color, or every caste should be properly communicated and properly equally distributed of the resource, such that not just one group should be going up and others should be going backward. Imagine there's a running race and those who are wealthy people are just running front and those who are unwealthy, they are forced to run backside. They were supposed to run straight, but they had to go backside. How terrible the situation will be. So there is no equity. So what the thing is, everybody should be equal in the competition, and that's how we can grow together as a whole, not only in urban areas, but as a whole human civilization. Success needs public-private grassroots coalition. Okay, so success does not come only from the government. The partnership, the government should build partnership even with the private actors. This is called, sometimes we call it PPP model. I think it is everywhere in part of the world. Public-private partnership is very much important, and the government should take the voices from the grassroots, from the people, what they really want. Don't give people a car when they need was a food in their home. By driving the car, the person will not fill his stomach. So you need to listen to the voice of people, how people are living, what is their condition, what do they require. So grassroots coalition means the same thing, connection of public-private partnership, and grassroots coalition means grassroots connecting with the grassroots level, connecting with the everybody from the far away people also, those who are living far from the administration. Okay, those who are unable to reach. So what is that? We should prioritize resilient inclusion for urban future. Resilient, strong system of preparedness. We have to prepare for emergency, and we have to stay strong, and we have to bring inclusivity, everyone together in our development process. Okay. So this is the conclusion of our session. Vulnerable groups suffer due to sudden or development economics, and COVID has taught us less transport and sustainable option. Racism or less race problem demands equity in society. To bring success and bring development, we need public-private partnership and inclusion of every voice from lower to upper class people, and we should have a strong system ready to fight any emergency. These things are required with inclusivity for urban futures. So this was the lesson today. This is a question answer session. If anybody has a question, you can ask in this very time. Then followingly there are two solving questions to solve. What is digital divide? Digital divide is when a certain group of people is equipped with high-tech, fast digital technologies for many kind of social requirements, while the other half are not equipped with even the basic technology and digital equipments. That is why they cannot compete with another, and the one is always lagging behind and the other is moving forward. Isn't it? One group is highly advanced in technology, going to Mars and space. Other people does not even have a single smartphone. There's a huge divide. They cannot compete. The world is fast growing, the technology is growing fast. So due to digital divide, sometimes even the education sector, some people lag behind. So that things is called digital divide, which need to be minimized, which need to be addressed, which need to be solved. What are the COVID-19 impacts is that I have said COVID-19 has made transportation less. People have started to use lesser transport after COVID. We have learned some lesson in that. And what is the resilient? We have built such a ecosystem of sustainable development equipments. We have been using now the resilience methods that is going to actually help us in the long run. We have come to discovery of such things that is going to help us. Discovery like digital payment or digital classroom. These things are something very sustainable and very innovation, and these things have helped us. Okay. So thank you very much for joining today's class, and we will meet you in the next session. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day ahead.